Hi, y'all. This will be my reflection on the climate matters reading for this week. While reading the climate matters section, I reflected on the current social climate we are living in and the manner that the changes we experiences are drastically affecting our safety and well-being with the increases of natural disasters. I mainly reflect on how people raise awareness of being more mindful to reduce their contribution for climate pollution, but there are also those in higher power and resources that do as they wish without the consequences of their actions. The first section by Amy Harmon stood out to me the most because I relate to it and the current communities I live in and how my peers used to be and how some of the students are at the moment. The main purpose presented is demonstrating how having a determined and motivated teacher about climate change can help students become more aware of the issue. Once they have a fundamental understanding, they're able to see the additional impacts in a social political context and how it's directly and indirectly affecting their daily lives. I appreciate the efforts put by Mr. Sutter to demonstrate that evidence and give explanations to his students, even if they were skeptical. They were experiencing the effects of climate change, severe and unordinary weather occurrences, and were not linking it to the evidence presented until he took them on a field trip. Having that direct contact with the aftermaths of climate change and seeing how it's affecting us directly, how it is harming us and other life forms around us, is the most impactful evidence for students. The politicization of the topic of climate change has also given resistance from the parents' side to have their students not be exposed to the discussion of climate change and how it does not align with their agenda. The second section by Bill Bijlow was inspiring to me in the manner that current and senior teachers are able to learn and understand the importance of informing the youth with the knowledge they need in order to be well-equipped social agents of change. The manner he creates a community for students, teachers, local community members, and leaders to be engaged and part of the process demonstrates the power that teachers have when distributing information and teaching others. The main point throughout this section is how advocacy for change, working closely with students and social groups, and engaging in activism with clear goals can have real life impacts for the future generation. The first steps were addressing current curriculums and having to navigate with altered truths and allegations, but being determined to reform it for the better. Having this opportunity to learn about climate change spoke to me and what I want to do to implement these themes in a primary education level so students have a general understanding of the world they live in. Focusing on frontline communities and the different social political factors that affect their lives and the alignment it has with climate calls for a space for students to discuss and express their understandings so that they can process what they are experiencing. Upon completing these readings, I am able to understand more activities and curriculum opportunities for students to have a better comprehension of climate issues, as well as alternative solutions to reduce our carbon footprint. What resonated with me was Bigelow's climate fair and giving students the opportunity to do their own research and present the different ways that people can limit their personal pollution. It made me reflect on my own educational and professional experiences where, as a student, I did not have much exposure to these topics or understanding. On the other hand, while interning with SMUD, working with the Sustainable Communities Department and the Education Department, we were dedicated to giving local nonprofits different resources to expose their clients, students, peers, and communities they work with to find ways they can save energy, they can limit their pollution, and be more mindful in the carbon footprint they produce. As mentioned before, having academic field trips and exposure can leave a bigger impact on students than just a scientific information. It has sadly come to the point where most of our students are experiencing the effects of climate change in their communities and more intense weather occurrences. I think having opportunities for research like the climate fair and going beyond just science classes to social science, researching the effects of climate change in other countries can help students understand the effects in a more real world context. This is important for me because I want to find a variety of opportunities to have students engage with the material and be more open to form their own opinions based on evidence and real life data they see. As mentioned in Harmon's section and the students that Mr. Sitter worked with, they are in a developmental period in their lives where they are easily influenced by the opinions that their parents hold. At the same time, they are developing their own sense of identity, their own opinions, and being able to advocate for themselves. My hope is in the future to implement these topics at a primary level so students are able to engage with science-related topics and activities, and to also get a basic level of understanding of how climate works, how it can change with the actions we take, and so on in our futures. This provides them with a more open mindset on how it is interconnected and that they can make a change in the future for the better. This is also important to me because being able to inform the community and public about efforts they can participate in can also benefit the education of the future generation. If parents also have the opportunity to participate and be educated, going back to the climate fairs, there is an opportunity for learning for the community to take action and find ways to ensure that their community is clean, less polluted, and sustainable. I resonate with Harmon's article in trying to educate students in the impacts of climate change because I have experienced it firsthand with my peers. I think back to high school where I never really had an opportunity to research the effects of climate change. The science classes I took gave me a general understanding of how life interacts and the causes the change in the world that and their causes, but not at the level of climate change has had. There weren't fairs, clubs, resources, or workshops to inform me. I really relied on my peers to educate me on the issues we are facing. Although I was seen more as a trend to have a hydro flask, a majority of my friends had one and found to be more convenient to use. And now almost all schools have a hydration station to refill their water bottles, which I appreciate because there are some people who refuse to have a reusable products. I think about my peers who were more reserved about learning about more sustainable methods of life because they were not educated about their benefits. A lot of these peers were lucky that the changes in climate were not affecting them directly, and at that time, forest fires were not as prominent. Bad air quality wasn't a constant concern for us as teens, and cheering for rain because we have limited days of watering our grass now that it's dry. And I wonder what I could have done differently with my peers to address these issues that were heavily impacting us now and be able to educate the rest of our other peers to learn more about sustainable efforts. This brings me back to Bijlo's efforts in implementing climate topics for students to understand the negative effects in our lives. I often think about my ethnic studies teacher and his passion in advocating for students' rights and being able to expose to sensitive content topics. He was adamant about implementing more cultural topics in ethnic studies curriculum and how it relates to the quote in Teachers versus Climate by Bijlo, quote unquote. Social study teachers have long been feisty and simply ignored the district's adopted textbook. My ethnic studies teacher showed us videos and asked students about their experiences to find other resources that relate to us in our interests and elements of our lives. And this helped us have a bigger impact in our educational lives and feel like we actually belonged in the classroom. Having more teachers like him and like those presented in our readings can ignite the much needed change we need for our students to be well equipped in their lives to make a change for a future they want to live in. Thank you.